Good morning, welcome to Wednesday. It is Q&A Wednesday on the coffee run, and I'm really excited to see your faces as you start popping in. There's no one watching right now, so that's kind of weird, but I know that you guys will, so welcome. One of the questions that I have had a lot over the years has been around how do you stay focused on just one thing. Now, if you are even the least bit entrepreneurial minded, maybe creative minded, then you'll probably have 1,000,001 ideas around what you could do, what you should do, what you can do, what you might do, and things like that. So my husband and I, we go walking every morning, and most of the time it's with our kids. But we're always seeing different opportunities. We're always seeing different things that we could do either locally or coming up with different things that we could do outside of here. So there's a restaurant here at the moment that is for sale. I'm like, oh my gosh, how fun would it be to go in and, mix it all up, get it all working again, and then, with the view to sell it maybe in a couple of years. Great idea. But then it's like, well, you know what? I don't really want to work hospitality hours, and we've got the kids and blah, blah, blah. So that's just one example. I mean, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something, right? So today what I wanted to talk about is maintaining that focus around what it is that you're working towards. Now, a couple of points that I want to raise with this is that you might be in a position right now where you've got loads of opportunities. There's probably many things that you can do, and maybe you want to do all of them, and that's great. So one of the things that I tell my clients to do is to go and get a notebook and have these really great ideas and go plonk them in there in a separate notebook to perhaps the one that you work on as a general course of business. So go put those over there. The next thing that I would do is focus on, or pick one thing that you are going to focus on for the next 90 days. So we're coming towards the end of September, which is ridiculous. And we've got 3 months between now and the end of the year. So what is the one thing that you are focusing on for the next 90 days? Now, it might be, I was chatting to a client of mine, Kate. She's like, every time I speak to her every fortnight, she's like, oh, someone just asked me about this. I think I need to run a workshop on it. Or someone's just asked me about this. I can certainly help people with that. And that is really brilliant. But if you're constantly reacting to what people are telling you to, then you're always going to be going into 150,000 places without actually getting that one thing implemented and done and bringing it to completion, right? So just because you can doesn't mean that you should. So pick one thing that you're going to focus on for the next 90 days. All of those other ideas, have them jotted down in a separate piece of paper, in a separate notebook, because if you don't honor the ideas, they can run away, right? But the point is that you've got to action some of them. Otherwise, you're likely to stop having the ideas, and that's kind of like a big slap to the universe. So pick one thing. The next thing that I would do is go, all right, we've got 4 quarters of next year. So what are you going to focus on in the first quarter? What are you going to focus on in the next quarter? What are you going to focus on in the next quarter following that? And what you'll find is that if you've got that kind of almost like set in stone, right, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, then it helps you to remain on track. So my advice around that though is making sure that if you've got, I'm going to draw you a little picture. So we've got Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. This is one I prepared earlier for you. If I see any of my art on the internet, I will know that you have shared it, and then I will be devastated. Just kidding. So the thing that you've got to make sure is that you've got the same, not the same, but essentially like an overarching structure to what it is that you're doing, or an overarching focus to what it is that you're doing. So this client of mine is all about helping people work through grief. She's freaking amazing. Just absolutely amazing, this woman. So everything that she's doing, it might be that she's working with children who have lost a parent. It might be around working with parents who have miscarried. It could be working with parents who have lost a child in their teenage years or whatever. Or it might be kids who have lost their parents. So the overarching thing for her is grief, right? And then what this gives you the ability to do is to go, all right, well, this topic is for this topic is for this topic is for this topic is for this. Once you've got that worked out, here's what happens. You can then make sure that your blogs are all related to the things that you're talking about in each quarter. So let's say in this particular example that we're talking about parents who have miscarried, right? So quarter one, all of the blogs that get done all relate to that. And then what you've got is you've got all of your Facebook posts are all going to relate to whatever it is that you're focusing on each quarter. Okay, so I hope this isn't reversed. If it's reversed, you'll have to just be really clever at reading back to front. So in quarter four, if we've got the overarching focus is grief, then all of your blogs will be around whatever it is that your focus point is for the next quarter. In quarter one, as an example, where if we're looking at doing a workshop perhaps on parents who have miscarried, then everything that gets put out via blogs, via social media, and I would put podcasts in here, articles, book recommendations, anything that you do in quarter one ties in with that in there. And we know that it's going to be consistent in terms of the content you disseminate, in terms of your overarching message, because everything falls underneath that. That's really the best way that you can maintain focus, is knowing exactly, planning out, taking the time to plan. And I know that that can be really annoying, and it means that you're going to have to sit down and do some thinking and do some planning, and that usually means taking time out of the doing. But I promise you that it absolutely will help you with being consistent across the board and with being focused, right? A word of warning. Now, if everything that you're talking about in here is essentially rolled up into that one particular focus, it might start to feel a little boring, because for a whole 3 months, you're kind of tying everything back into that particular topic. That's okay. I had this thought yesterday. It's like, I know, like, some of the things that we talk about the same thing, pretty much the same thing every day, right? And I'd encourage you to reframe this a little bit and think about a university lecturer, perhaps, who has been in a university for 20 years and they might teach English. They would teach essentially the same thing term in, term out, semester in, semester out, year in, year out. Might be some tweaks and nuances that get brought in depending on what's going on in the world, but essentially they're delivering the same thing. So they've got to look for ways to excite themselves around the delivery of the content. So you're the same, right? Think about what your overarching focus is for the next, for the rest of this year and as well as for 2019. Work out what your focus then is for each quarter, or what topic you're going to essentially focus on for each quarter. And then when you're plotting out your blogs, your social media, your podcasts or whatever, good morning, Francis. What you can then do is go, all right, well, here's 6 blogs that I can write that relate to that. Here's, a million Facebook posts that I can use to relate to that. Okay, so that will just help you keep really focused with your marketing, with your planning, and it helps you not get distracted by the shiny thing. What can then happen is that, let's say that we get into quarter 3. Hey, Dad. Hey, Carl. Let's say that we get into quarter 3 and you're a little bit like, you know what? I don't want to deliver that workshop on X, Y, Z. I actually want to deliver it on how to communicate. I don't know. And that can be just making sure that it ties in with this. You can still pivot and change, all right? It doesn't mean that it is set in stone and that it's rigid, but it gives you the ability to just check in and have that planning in place. Stay focused on your overall message or that overall subject and topic that you are going to be focusing on. The payoff for this is this. The people who are following you, the people who come across you, they will see very clearly and very quickly what you're all about. They will see very clearly and very quickly that you are a subject matter expert with what it is that you're talking about. The other payoff is, if we talked about personal branding yesterday in becoming professionally famous online, it helps you to build your positioning, it helps you to build your personal brand, it helps you to build that thing that you're known for a lot faster than if you're kind of going around being all higgledy-piggledy and going, oh, I can talk about that, and oh, I can talk about that, and oh, I can talk about that. You can still insert little things, you know, along the way if you feel like there are things that you want to add in. But essentially, this just helps you to keep really focused, really consistent, and really clear, which helps you build momentum a lot faster. And what happens when we build momentum faster? You get more momentum, obviously, but you reach more people, people get to know you, they get to like you, they get to trust you, and that tends to happen in a shorter time frame when you're consistent across the board, no matter where people are finding you. So that's how you remain focused when you have got all of these ideas and you've got all of these shiny things and there's all of this stuff that you can do. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Good morning, Joe. Happy Wednesday. Good to see you. So that's me, guys. Hey, Joe, the other Joe, yay! I trust that helps you. If you've got any questions on this, let me know. I feel like I might need to make a worksheet to make that happen a little bit easier. Maybe I'll spend some time doing that. All right, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Stay focused, Nicola, stay focused. Oh, how hilarious. All right, guys, have a really amazing Wednesday. I look forward to catching you tomorrow. It is a How-To Thursday tomorrow. So if there is anything that you are just dying to know about, right, really want to learn or really want some instruction on, please hit me up, let me know. I'd be happy to talk to you about that and deliver that for you. Otherwise, have a rocking Thursday. Go get yourselves out there, go change some lives, and most of all, have fun doing it. I'll talk to you tomorrow.